beautiful Brighton Buddhist Centre, and me, Jim Tarrant, a made-up character. Welcome, roomers, to Brighton Buddhist Centre, and me, Jim Tarrant, a made-up character. Sit on 2 blocks, please. Gotta remember your pleases and thank yous. Cross the legs. Put a blanket underneath the legs, or a towel if you don't have a blanket. It's a beautiful morning, beautiful April morning. So, chest open, lower back light. Sometimes a little limbering up comes into the practice by itself. So, sense of a positive sense of letting go, like a surfer lets go to the way the waves are. So a positive sense of letting go, like a surfer lets go to the way the waves are. Being as light and therefore as responsive as a dandelion seed caught in breezes that are imperceptible to us, but the seed is so light that it can move with even the tiniest nuances in the field. As we look for lightness, perhaps with movement, perhaps internal or external movement, visible or invisible, our attention draws into the heart center, where we relax if we want, or optionally. And we'll plant the Dhenu Bija, which is this bija that's sometimes said to be the sound that a mother cow makes to call her baby cows back to her. Calves, I think they're called baby cows, calves. And to me, anyway, the mother cow represents the mother, the field itself. The baby cows are all her evolutes, all the things that spring out from her as she dances, as energies meet and join and create and co-create. And this constant dance of production and co-production. And calling back means the divided aspect is this divided aspect of individuated ego identity. So she calls them back and says, well, actually, you're all me. And this, of course, negates suffering on a personal level, because there is no personal in what we thought was personal, and in fact is part of her body. And so that liberates us to fall into the true identity of personage or selfhood, which, if you were, a certain school of Buddhism, you'd say was the anatta, the self that is not a self in any sort of restricted, limited, labelable way. If you were a practitioner of the Buddhist school of Yogacara, or if you were a practicing tantric Shaivite, you might say it's consciousness. True identity is consciousness. Hands to the heart center. And we'll practice this bija 3 chants. We'll chant it. And remember, we're installing this mantra as we chant it. We're installing it in this practice called nyasa. So take a deep breath in, inhale. Ho. 2 more. Ho. Last one. Ho. And imagine you've really done that, you've installed that in the heart center. and feel that Hong installed there. And we can say that yoga is any action, any speech, any thought, any movement at all that originates from dwelling in, resting in, abiding in, trusting in that heart center, which is the very center. It has no particular identification, therefore it can include all, therefore it can let the mother bring her calves back to her. And Prakriti is one in all her beautiful magnificence. And we fall, patan, into our true nature. Tada drashtu svarupeya vastanam. We release the hands and change the cross of the legs whenever you're ready, particularly if you're ready now. And then the blanketing comes back in. Buttock face is drawn out and back. There should be a gap between the legs and the pelvis. Chest is buoyant. Breathing is nasal if possible. Shoulders are relaxed. Buttocks are relaxed. Any movements that come, we remain open. So another way of talking about being in the middle, being non-particularized, in the center, non-dual, is to say we're in the middle. And that's, the mind could throw up the argument that that's, on the fence somehow, but it's not, it's open. Being in the middle is being open. Right? Because we're not reaching to one prejudice or another. And all views are prejudices. Even, we have to say, even good views, which might be very wholesome and good, obviously even more so for bad views that are unwholesome. But all views and opinions, such as, if you have a friend and you think, oh, they're always happy, how nice, they're always happy. Well, that's not a good view. It doesn't leave you open to receive them as they are, which is whatever they are. Hands to the heart center. Breathing through the nose if you can. We're simply going to bring energy up through the central channel after having drawn it down from what's sometimes called cosmic energy, just the energy all around us, or sometimes just solar energy, because all the energy on the earth, of course, comes from Sol, our sun. So we're going to do this simply in a minute by imagining that when we take an in-breath, we draw down green light from a point 12 finger widths above the head, down to the pelvic floor. Then we'll hold it there for a moment or two in a kumbhaka, Antara kumbhaka. And as it's held there for a breath, or a second, or maybe two, we feel that energy gathering. And then we're going to breathe up and out that energy with an Om. And it will go all the way up and out through the crown of the head and back to the solar energy, clearing the central channel and helping us thereby to find the space to abide in it. So green light as we breathe in, we can begin when we're ready. Out of the crown of the head. Releasing the hands. When you're ready, difficult to move after that because it's so good. And then we're going to come down to laying on our backs, which is definitely a long straw kind of situation, and with a block under our heads. And the block could be a purple block, but it could be a blue block if you don't have purple, or pink. Some people have got pink blocks. I don't know, if any block, what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way. So laying on your back, taking a breath for 5, And then lifting up your feet and giving your legs a gentle hug. Knees together or apart, but see if you can find some way to connect the two arms. I personally like to hold one wrist with the other hand. If you've got a sort of familiar and they're in that way comfortable way of doing it, which hand is holding which, for example, you might want to experiment with swapping that around and notice any discombobulation, because any combobulation, which is a word I don't think I've ever said before, any combobulation in this case indicates that we're not open. So we don't want any combobulation. We only want discombobulation, because there's nothing that the mind is clinging to, therefore it's open. So looking for richness, breathing through the nose, soft eyes, soft temples, expressive breath, indicating a sense of spontaneity, which itself indicates or is a sign of dana, giving, that is to say, giving. And this rolling, of course, is very beneficial. And you might find little pockets that are particularly effective as portals. So you might be like me and you could happily roll for quite a while, but we're going to, when we're ready, bring ourselves back down, releasing the legs and simply raising one leg on its own and place plantar and dorsiflexing the foot back and forth between the two, pointing, that is, and pushing, pointing the toes, pushing the heel, pointing the toes, pushing the heel. It sometimes becomes instinctual to want to do other movements like circling or half circling or bending or extending or swinging the leg or drawing it medially, laterally, proximally or distally. It's just bringing life to the leg is all we're trying to achieve here, while the breath comes and goes spontaneously. While the breath comes and goes spontaneously. You'll possibly feel that some of these movements will affect a little bit more looseness, not just in the leg, but throughout the back of the body, the lower back and so on. So these are very effective as long as they are affecting the breath's spontaneous release or release into spontaneity. Bring that one down, and similarly with the other, dorsiplantar, half circle, full circle, swinging back and forwards, bending, extending, whatever is effective, medial, lateral, proximal, distal. We are only purely, exclusively interested in that which is effective, efficacy. We're purely, only, solely interested in efficacy. Just keep the jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft. And breathe, you know it's effective when the breath's expressive. That's how you know. You don't know otherwise. And that, of course, is an indication of relaxation, which is an indication of trust. And that's an indication of knowledge, which is an indication of giving, giving to the mother, letting the calves return to the mother. Bring the leg back down when you're ready. Remove the block that's under your head. Just put it to one side and replace it with your hands, fingers interlaced. Very simple, but very effective chest opener in two directions, across and up. And breathing through your nose, if you can. Certainly what we encourage. And then lift the feet, lower back close to the floor. We've got several stretches. We've got the deepening of the medial scapula. We've got the widening of the chest. We've got the softening of the eyes. We've got the expressive, honest, natural breath. We simply lift the head to draw the two ends of the abdominals together, the lower and upper, the pubic, bless you, and the ribs. They draw towards each other. They kind of draw into a deeper weave. And the lower back's intimate with the floor. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft. Extend one leg out to about 45 degrees, but please keep the back beautifully, lovingly intimate with the floor. Allow movement that might be part of that intimacy. For example, the leg might want to be higher than 45 degrees if the back feels tight. And then retract that leg and extend the other after perhaps making any adjustments that feel natural. The raised leg doesn't have to be static. It can move, it can float higher or move lower or drift one way or another. Flex that leg back and bring the head down, feet down. Take a deep breath once they are down, in, followed by out. And then let a few more deep breaths happen. So letting things happen isn't to be passive, not involved, apolitical, it's not. What we mean by letting things happen is letting them arise as they are in consciousness, knowing that consciousness, part of consciousness is response, Kriya Shakti. Consciousness possesses powers, spontaneous powers. Kriya Shakti, the power to act. Icha Shakti, the power of desire or the power of will, sometimes called the power of will, to want to act, because, and it acts out of what it is, oneness. So anything that's acting out of oneness will act out of love for everything that's part of that oneness, which is everything. And then joy of joys, it also knows how to act. Jnana Shakti, the knowing power. Let's flex up again, the feet first, the head second. Breathe through the nose. Now, some people are comfortable to what I'm going to call super flex, which is just lifting up the pelvis more so that the elbows and knees might come close, or perhaps even together with them. You can move your hands on your head so that the hands don't even have to be interlaced. But you just roll yourself into a little ball. And then release back down, feet down as well. Take a deep breath deliberately. In, followed by out. Followed by, in again. You know how breath is, right? Just let it happen. Then with your heels quite close to your bum and your feet apart, about hip width, hands still behind the head, simply let the legs fall to one side. It's totally informally, not trying to shape it or limit it in any way. It's totally informal, and breathing through the nose. And study Swa plus Adhyaya, self-study. Adhyaya means to study texts, or specifically what we might call sacred texts. I'm not so sure I like the word sacred in this context, but we might call them jnana texts, texts of wisdom or knowledge, or prajna texts, texts of real knowing. So real knowing is knowing of the true identity of anything that arises in consciousness. Buddhists might say not self. Shakta practitioners might say the goddess or the mother. Okay, bring the legs back up. Scoot the buttocks under, take a deep breath in, followed by out, of course, and then the legs go the other way, similarly. just a fall to the side. There's nothing formal about it. And we don't have to sort of shape it in any way. It just is what it is. But we feel into it, knowing again that listening always goes with response. That's the sort of Vajrasati yoga way of saying that one of the qualities of consciousness is action, some kind. Kriya. Breath may be part of that. Breath might be the action. The response to listening might be that the breath becomes appropriately expressive, spontaneously expressive, selflessly expressive. If the mind drifts off, that's also the goddess. Drifting is a state of mind, it's a vritti. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the effective cessation of the vrittis, that is to say, the cessation of the attachment to the vrittis as if they were me or individually me, while other aspects of reality were not me. Bring the legs back up. Scoot le buttock under and take a breath or two. And release the hands from behind the head and roll right the way over and up and onto hands and knees, ready for Adho Mukha Svanasana. That is down face dog, although we sometimes like to call this Gajasana, which is the elephant. So check, as you would always check, down face dog, that your hands are equidistant from the sides and the front of the mat, and that your feet are equidistant from the sides and the front of the mat. And then, having checked and rechecked, push up in any way that's effective. So you might push the pelvis left, or you might push the pelvis right. You might pad the paws into a deeper weave with the mat. You might bend, extend the knees. It's all about hydration on any level you want to talk about it, whether it be more ease for blood circulation holistically, or whether it be more glide, fascially speaking, or whether it be flow in the mind-body continuum, manifesting as spontaneity. Find ways through your lower back, whether it be lifting the heels or moving the pelvis. It's the lower back that's our target for energy flow. It's the lower back that's the target for energy flow. We're not trying to get the heels down. It's fine if they come down, so much as get some energy flow through the lower back. Well done, everyone. Come down to a regular kneeling position, for which you can, of course, use a block between the heels and buttocks if it's useful. Deep, expressive, and natural breathing. Soft eyes, soft brain, soft throat, soft tongue. And what matters in this bardo here, this in-between place, is breath. Is that we give license to the breath to be expressive. Expressive, spontaneous breathing. There may be rolling or movement of some kind on the shins that might spontaneously arise as part of our commitment and love of flow. So that's flow, obviously, in the sense of flowing, non-attached continuum. Okay. Bring yourself forwards So your hands are underneath your shoulders, and stretch your legs back one at a time, suspending the body in a diagonal line that you don't have to keep static. Movement may well be the right course of action, although we're not institutionalizing it. Movement just comes as part of serving, seva, flow, vahi. Serving, flow, seva, vahi. So moving left, moving right, whatever works. We're going to tantalizingly touch the knees, but not put weight, touch the knees on the floor, that is, with literally no weight whatsoever. It's tantalizing, it's a tease, it's terrible, it's terrific, it's all the tease, and then we lift up again. And then knees forwards, come to your kneeling position. Catch a breath. Or two, or three, or 103, or a million, or whatever. So just breath, 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 breath. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft, tongue soft. Everything that can be soft is soft. We're serving one master, as it were, only, and that is flow. Flow is the greatest of teachers. There's a great song by the Incredible String Band. If you've never heard of them, today is a wonderful day for you. I think it's just called The Water Song, actually. And they say something like, God made the world, when God made a song when the world was new, waters flowing, sings its tune. A river of changes, teach me the lesson of flowing. Beautiful, beautiful song. So flow, flow. Now we're going to come into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. That is to say, head up dog. So we're going to start by laying down with our hands by the mid ribs and stretching the legs back with a view to making the space and flow, of course, are inseparable partners. For there to be flow, there must be space. We all know when we don't have enough space, whether it be mental space or physical space or both, that we lack flow. And when we lack flow, we tend to be sharp, a bit abrasive, a bit blunt. So space is essential. So make space in the psoas, stretch the legs back. Then we're going to be toning the tummy lightly, drawing it away from the floor. And there's a feeling in which it draws up towards the head. And that takes hold in a good sort of supportive way of the tailbone. We're going to then lift everything up except the hands and feet when we're ready. We're going to inhale. You can do this with your toes tucked under if you prefer, or pointing back, it's fine too. Bring the chest through the arms and up. Through the arms and up, and press into your hands. Chest up, bottom of the breastbone up. Roll on the toes and come into Adho Mukha Svanasana, the downward facing dog. Catch a deep breath, or two, or three, or whatever. And again, hydrate through massaging out areas of habituated tension that are habituated on all levels simultaneously. Body, brain, breath. So massage out habituated areas. Take the hand that's furthest away from me and bring it to the midline of the two hands, and then turn towards me onto the side of your foot, towards me. Now you can keep one leg on top of the other, or probably more preferable, keep one leg behind the other like that. Let's just go for one leg behind the other. Let's be kind from the get-go, and there can be movement of any kind. Now, I don't want you to get over excited, so we'll better come back to down face dog, because of course the love for that pose, Vashisthasana, is very, very deep for most people. Then the other hand comes in the midline of the two hands, and of course you turn, therefore, the other direction on the side of your foot with your other leg behind you, and breathing easy and calm. Jaw, soft, brain, so playful too, if you want. Any kind of sense of yes, I love. If your body can express yes, I love, then that would be marvelous. Back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Open up the inner armpits, open up the outer armpits, open up the under armpits, and send waves through the chest to the groins that pick the groins up so that we can, as it were, increasingly hang from that ever-raising crease at the top of the thigh. Ever-raising crease at the top of the thigh. And then coming down as before, to regular kneeling. Breathing through the nose with deep, honest, expressive breaths, shoulders down, head up, eyes soft, brain soft, tongue soft, everything that can be soft is soft. From there, we're going to sit on 1 to 2 blocks with our legs extended out. So even up to 3 blocks if you need the space. But if you are sitting on 2 or more blocks, you'll need another block behind you or something that will substitute for a block. The legs will be straight out ahead of you. And we're going to swing the legs over that away. And the lower shin of one leg goes into the foot arch of the other. And then I find a lift and shift. You should have one foot therefore pointing straight back. That will be the top foot, and the other foot pointing across the room. And don't forget, you can sit on more blocks if you don't feel there's space for the body to settle like this. Settling is really, really important, and that should be of this top leg, which is something that's psychophysical. The revelation of tension is something we should be pleased about, even if it's cramping in the foot arch. It's all positive stuff. And if or when ready, without lifting the back leg, we lift and turn away from the feet. And really focus on the release of the back leg. The eyes soft, the brain soft, the throat soft, the tongue soft. Release the buttocks as well. Release the buttocks. Sort of like, it's like surfing waves of light, you're practicing yoga. So photons are particles of light. The electromagnetic field is the wave. Breath is everything. Return to center when ready. Extend out your legs when ready. Give them a rub. Give your whole body a bit of a rub down, why not? Don't forget the lower back, that's really useful. And whole body means whole body. So energy bath can serve, I won't say as a substitute to actual washing. You can't substitute it, but it can serve as a supplement. The legs over to the other side, breathing easy. How much you should wash, of course, is another thing. That's a different opinion. Not sure how much the great Yogi Milarepa washed, for example, but who knows? Leg same position, leg down, through not tensing, through releasing tension, lift and turn away from the feet. Bharadvajasana. Bharadvaja is the name of a sage. Very well known, mentioned in Buddhist texts, mentioned in Puranas, mentioned in a whole heap of different South Asian texts, this famous sage Bharadvaja. Breath is everything. Settle the buttocks, soften the eyes, surf the waves of light. The whole room is absolutely suffused with photons, which also are passing directly through you. Protons, of course, don't interact with the Higgs field, so they're completely light in both senses. Breathing easy, breathing natural. Okay, well done. Return to center. Stretch out your legs. Give them a rub. Give the whole body an energy bath. Good, really good one. Thorough. Once you feel all kind of like that, vavavoomed, past and present tense, then we're going to fold over the end of our mat that's closer to that side of the room. And if you've got a thin mat, you might even want to fold it triple ply, or if you're just a lover of luxury. Some people just love luxury. I rather think I do. Of course, it all depends what you mean by luxury. Camping in the woods with a nice hot shower and an actual bed. That's my kind of thing. So you're kneeling, you've got to block the other end. Can be a brick block. Some people prefer the flat block. I just happen to have a flat block. It does okay. But for some people, if you don't have high enough block, it may make your foot cramp. So a brick block, if you think there's any chance of your foot cramping. And then place your foot on the block so that it lines up with your heel, that is, lines up with your knee. The knee of the extended leg lines up with the ceiling. There's a little bit of pressure from behind upwardly to support the leg. And the position of your foot on the block should be so that it's not cutting into the middle of the arches. It's just at the end of the ball of the foot. The standing leg left a little sloped. That is to say, the top of it a little closer to the block than the bottom of it. So there's a few particularities to this pose. Parighasana. Stretch the arms. I reckon, Chris, you might, well, it's an experiment, I guess, but I think you might be better with the brick block. That's my feeling, I think. Stretch the arms, turn the palms, lift the chest, inhale with the lead arm, keep this area entirely open, exhale. Look up, stretch up. That's usually enough. Some people might feel comfortable to bring the top arm over, that's fine too. This is Parighasana. Parighasana, a crossbar of a gate. Inhaling calmly to come up. It's a big pose. Knocks your socks off, although you haven't got socks on anyway. And then rest for a moment. Take 2 or 3 or 4 deep breaths. I'll have a little swig of what my drink is today. It's barley cup with some raw cardamom in it and coconut sugar and oat milk. I made it myself. What?
It's just coconut milk.
He's on to me. In case you didn't hear that at home, Ollie thinks that I'm drinking Cocoa Pop milk, the milk from Cocoa Pops, which of course children love. As I'm a fully grown-up man, there's no way I would drink something like that. At least I wouldn't drink it in a drinks vessel that anyone could see the color of my drink, because then they might know that indeed I'm drinking Cocoa Pop milk. Anyway, second side. while I say all that, that was whispered, of course, to Zoomers or YouTubers. So you can, there's two ways to do second sight: turn the opposite way in the room, or turn to face this way still, in which case you'll still see the Buddha, but that's okay either way. I don't mind what you do. Heel, but what I do mind, but in a loving way, is that you've got the standing leg sloping, we've got the heel lined up with the knee. The slope isn't too much. You can overdo that slope as well. It's just a little slope, enough so you get the hip in and groin up feel. The hip in comes as just part of the pose. The groin up is your response to it. And finally, the block that's under your foot shouldn't be cutting into the middle of your foot arches, but at the end of the ball of the foot, right at the beginning of the arches. Palms extend, palms up, raise the lead arm nearest the block that your foot's on. Inhale, exhale, keep the body open, stretching up, and maybe over. I wish it was cocoa pot milk now. I can't stop thinking about it. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft. Turning, enjoying if you want. Photon-filled space. Okay, inhale with love and care, bring the legs back together. Catch a breath. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft, tongue soft. Tailbone relaxed. It's an interesting area to notice, tailbone. And of course, we notice if an area is relaxed or tense by noticing what the breath does when our awareness goes to that area. Because the breath is a mirror, because everything's one, because everything's the mother, matrika. Therefore, you can find out what's going on in the tailbone by bringing a full awareness of the tailbone and the breath simultaneously. And the breath, if it's tight, means the tailbone's gripping. The breath, if it releases, means the tailbone's releasing. But not just the tailbone, but the mind as well. Not just the mind, but the universe releases from our projected, expected views of it to be a natural flow in front of our eyes that we can respond to spontaneously, which means powerfully, aka effectively. Sometimes we're afraid of being effective because it has an effect, and we sometimes like to be invisible, but we're not invisible ever. And so we have to let go of that fantasy. Okay, and bring yourself up to, what's it called? Standing. That's it. And open up your mat. And take blockage over to that side of your mat. And we're going to stand on the other side of the mat. So the block is over that side, and we are over this side. The hands are on their hips, breathing through the nose. Back toes turn in, front foot and leg turns out first on the ball of the foot, and once the heel lines up with the arch, we finish off the turn on the heel. Stretch the arms, beautiful, lovely. Lift the ribs by lifting the arms. By toning the tummy, that ribs lifting will lift the tummy, will lift the pelvis, will lengthen the back. Inhale. Keep long here. Exhale. Windmill your top arm up if you want. Take expressive breaths, plural. Eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft, tongue soft. Arm comes down, bend your front knee. Don't let the toes turn in. Walk your back foot in towards your front foot. The block should be ahead of your foot, about the width of the block. And you can keep it flat, or you might want it higher up, like this, for example. At first, of course, it feels safest to look down, but gradually you can begin to look forwards, keeping the top arm straight. Don't bend your top arm. Walk it even along your top leg. Breathe through the nose. A very exciting pose, I think you'll agree. Move through the air as if the air were a bit thicker, about the thickness of custard. Not that one should think too much about custard in the morning. To Trikonasana, without holding the breath. You can have the top arm up or not, up to you. Adjusting and readjusting. Inhale, pelvic floor in your awareness. Hands on the hips, feet face forwards, walk your feet towards each other. And then when you're ready to, you can move the block. I like to dribble the block. It's my homage to the sport of football, which I love so very much, with all its goals, dribbling, defending, and other forms of kicking and stuff. Hands on the hips, breathing through the nose, standing up with a wide open chest. Expressive, honest breath. Turn your back toes in, turn on the ball of the front foot, finish off the turn on the heel, so you get heel to arch alignment. The length of stride should be generous. And you can see by the length of stride that I take, a man whose stature is about 5'9" and a quarter. It was 5'9" and a half. Now it's 5'9" and a quarter. Eventually it will be 5'9" and then 5'8", and then I'll just shrivel into oblivion. Stretch your arms, breathe yourself, brain soft. Inhale, exhale, and coming down. Eyes soft. So, relax if you want. Certainly can be nice to relax because it's relaxing into the arms of the goddess. I think we all sort of, on a primal level, understand this imagery in one way or another. There's a country song I like. I do quite like country music, I have to admit. And it's called The Arms of the Angels. And really like that song. Because it's the same thing but said in a different way. It's like letting go, return to the source. And then there's a freedom there. Arm down, bend your knee, or should I say knee, and walk in until, your block should be ahead of your foot by about the width of the block, lined with the 4 outer toes. You can have 1 or 2 different height positions as mentioned on the first side. Raising up the leg if you want, and breathing through the nose, and gradually, in your own time, steering your attention from looking down to looking forwards. In your own time, top arm straight, even walk your fingers along your top leg. The longer the top arm, the longer the bottom ribs. The longer the bottom ribs, the less side flexion. The less side flexion, the easier it is to turn. The easier it is to turn, the easier it is to look forwards or even up. Okay, bend your knee, move through the air like it was thicker, like vegan custard, perhaps, or even non-vegan custard, which is probably more delicious. Inhale, come on up. Hands on the hips, take a breath or 2. Jaw soft. So fingers face forwards, eyes soft, brain soft. Now, we're probably going to need blocks for this. So just walk your feet together and then put blocks in front of you. You don't necessarily need blocks, but I think most people will. Where they would be is here in front of you. You can have a 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. Our priority here is to keep open from here to here, inclusive, from here to here, inclusive, like we are now. You know, this openness, we want to feel into this openness and not, and familiarize ourselves with it, and so it doesn't change. Spread out the toes repeatedly. And it's almost as if energy spreads through them, like the energy that spreads through a fern leaf as it uncurls in the spring, which is now. Toes should turn in. Repetition is highly endorsed of movement. Inhale, lift up from the groins to the chest. Exhale, fold over the top of the front thighs. The thighs might feel in a good way like they're rising up. Hands to the block, unless the pelvis is still moving and you're keeping that spine, that whole area that I mentioned before, from the pelvis to the spine. If that stays open, it's fine to come low, but most of us are better off at least initially high, certainly so we can, on the block, so we can reiterate the openness we want to feel. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft, tongue soft. Deep, expressive, honest breathing. Deep, expressive, honest breathing. Balancing between the left and right side. Depth coming from the outside, lift coming from the inside of the legs. Depth coming from the back, lift coming from the front of the legs. Balance between inner and outer ankle being iterated and reiterated. Make sure the heels stay out, not in, turned out, not in. So they will sneak their way out. So you have to check on that sometimes. And then back to fingertips, walk your feet towards each other. As high as you can go on the fingertips, lead with the bottom of the breastbone and ascend. While down, walk your feet towards each other, kick or shake out the legs. I've just looked at my timepiece, and with some degree of disappointment, I've realized that we have to now come to Siddhasana. Not that I'm disappointed by Siddhasana, but simply by the imminent end to this class, although I'm lucky enough to have another class that follows at 8:15, but sadly for you Zoomers, it's only for Roomers. It's a Roomers only class. Perhaps if you live nearby, you could jump on your skateboard and get down quick. So, Siddhasana, buttock flesh drawn out and back. And with each breath, we're going to draw energy down in the form of green light to respective points. So you breathe into the respective point as I mention it in a minute, and then you'll breathe out from that point up through the back through the crown of the head. As you breathe out, imagine it's white light moving out, but it's green, purifying light on the way in. So first we're going to breathe in through the crown of the head to the forehead center. And out again. Just keep that going until the next one. And the next one will be the throat center. Down to that, and then back up from that through the crown of the head. Within the chest center. And the navel center. It's following the same central channel. In the khanda, or the secret center, about 3 finger widths below the navel. And then the Muladhara at the very base of the central channel, the lowest point that we can feel. Hands to the heart. It's alphabetically ordered, so easy to remember. 2 H's, may all be happy, may all be healthy. Then a G, may all see goodness. And finally a W, may there be no worry. So alphabetically ordered like that. May all be happy, may all be healthy, may all see goodness, may there be no worry. The tune of the song is very easy. You can do it even if you've never heard it before. Take a deep breath in and we'll start. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all see goodness. May there be no worry. Now Om. Om. Deep breaths. We have a luxurious 39 second Shavasana ahead of us. It only starts from when you're laying down though, so don't rush. Make sure you're warm and comfortable. Head support taken if the head tips back. Could be in the form of a block or a neatly folded blanket. Make sure it's the right amount of head support, not too much or too little. Shoulder blades tucked under. Chest buoyant. Total surrender. Feel into the body like it's something new. You could feel that as you move the fingers or toes, you can feel that everything is everything. The adjustment of the body adjusts everything. Everyone else's body is adjusts everything. All things are all things. Eventually, let these movements of the toes and fingers migrate into stretches that are organic and natural. And finally, bending the legs and placing the soles of the feet onto the floor. Scooting the buttocks under and releasing the lower back with a deep, deliberately deep breath, or 2, or 3. Rolling onto your side, facing away from the shrine side of the room. Rolling again towards the shrine side of the room. And a little light color filter into the eyes. And when you're ready, bring yourself up nice and easy from the side. May any merit gained in our acting in this way go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. Oh. Thanks, Roomers. Thanks, Zoomers. Marvelous to see y'all. Thanks for coming. See you soon, I hope. Loads of love. Thank you. Mwah.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.